The alarm bells rang through the Deep Space Monitoring Station at 3:47 a.m. Earth time. Dr. Elena Rodriguez rolled out of her bed and rushed to the control room, her bare feet slapping against the cold metal floors. She had been the head of the Interstellar Communications Division for 12 years, but nothing had prepared her for what appeared on her screens that night. The signal was unlike anything they had ever received. It came from the Andromeda sector, traveling across thousands of light years to reach Earth. The transmission was complex, layered with mathematical patterns and what looked like distress codes. Elena's hands shook as she began the decoding process. "Computer, run full spectrum analysis on incoming signal," she commanded. The artificial intelligence responded in its calm voice. "Dr. Rodriguez, this transmission contains 17 different communication protocols. Preliminary analysis suggests multiple species origins." Elena's heart raced. Multiple species. That could only mean one thing. They were not alone in the universe, and someone was trying to talk to them. Hours passed as Elena and her team worked to decode the message. Coffee cups piled up on desks. The morning shift arrived to find the night crew still hunched over their computers. Finally, at noon, the first clear words came through the translation matrix. "People of Earth, we need your help." The message continued in broken but understandable English. "We are the Galactic Preservation Council. We speak for 17 worlds, 17 species who face death. A great evil spreads across the stars. We have watched you from far away. We know what you are. We are afraid of you, but we have no choice. Please help us." Elena called Admiral Lisa Chung immediately. Within 2 hours, the most important people on Earth were gathered in the secure briefing room beneath the Pentagon. President Maria Santos sat at the head of the table, her face grave as Elena played the full message. The alien voices spoke of their coalition, 17 peaceful species who had lived in harmony for thousands of years. They described their beautiful worlds where no one knew hunger or war. They talked about their advanced technology, their art, their philosophy of peace above all things. But then the message turned dark. "The Vex Collective comes," the voices said. "They are not like us. They are not like you. They consume everything. They eat minds, eat souls, eat entire worlds. 12 species are already gone, absorbed into their hive. We are next." The message included detailed star charts showing the location of the alien worlds. It contained biological data about each species, their peaceful nature, their physical limitations, their complete lack of any warrior culture. Most shocking of all, it contained their assessment of humanity. "Earth is a death world," the aliens explained. "Your planet kills most things that try to live there. Volcanoes, earthquakes, storms, ice ages, meteor impacts. Only the strongest survive. You evolved as hunters, as killers, as pack predators. Your entire species carries the genes of winners, of those who fought and lived when others died." Captain Jake Morrison shifted uncomfortably in his seat. He commanded the largest ship in Earth's defense fleet, but the alien description made humans sound like monsters. The message continued. "We have studied you for 60 of your years. We have watched your wars, your conflicts, your ability to fight even when wounded, even when facing death. You terrify us. Every species in the galaxy fears the day you might turn your weapons toward the stars." President Santos spoke for the first time. "But they still contacted us." "Yes," Elena replied, "because they're desperate." The alien message laid out their offer. In exchange for military help against the Vex Collective, they would share all their technology with humanity. Faster than light travel, energy weapons, medical advances that could extend human life by centuries. They would give humanity a place in their galactic community. But they made their fear clear. "We know that calling you is dangerous. We know that Deathworlders who cross the stars might not stop with saving us. But the Vex will kill us all if we do nothing. At least with you, some might survive." Admiral Chang studied the tactical data the aliens had included. The Vex Collective was a hive mind species that had evolved from parasitic organisms on a dying world. They reproduced by consuming other intelligent beings, absorbing their knowledge and abilities, while maintaining a single unified consciousness across billions of individuals. They've already eaten 12 civilizations, Admiral Chang said. Each time they consume a species, they get stronger, smarter, more dangerous. According to this data, their current fleet is larger than anything the peaceful species can fight. Captain Morrison looked at the enemy ship designs. These Vex vessels are built for overwhelming force. No subtlety, no clever tactics. They just swarm and consume. While our potential allies, Admiral Chang continued, have never fought a real war. Look at their ship designs, all defensive systems, retreat protocols, minimal weapons. They've never needed to fight because they've never met anyone who wanted to hurt them. President Santos stood and walked to the large screen showing the star charts. 17 civilizations, hundreds of billions of peaceful beings, facing extinction, and they had turned to humanity, the species they feared most, as their only hope. Dr. Rodriguez, the president said, send a reply. Tell them we accept their offer. Tell them help is coming. Alina's fingers hesitated over the keyboard. Ma'am, what if they're right to fear us? What if we're too dangerous to let loose in the galaxy? Then that's exactly why we need to be the ones who go, President Santos replied. If we're as dangerous as they think, then we're also the only ones who can stop something even worse. The reply message was simple. We receive your call for help. The people of Earth agree to join your fight against the Vex Collective. Prepare for our arrival. 3 weeks later, the largest fleet in human history began final preparations for departure. Admiral Chang had been given command of the Terran Expeditionary Force, 200 ships carrying 50,000 of humanity's best soldiers, scientists, and engineers. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge of his flagship, the HMS Defiant, watching the final supply ships dock. His crew was nervous but excited. They were about to become the first humans to travel to another star system, the first to meet alien species, the first to fight a war among the stars. Dr. Rodriguez had been assigned to the expedition as chief xenobiologist. She would study the alien species and try to understand how 17 peaceful civilizations had managed to survive and thrive, while humanity had spent most of its history fighting itself. In the cargo holds, human weapons and equipment waited alongside the new alien technology that had already been transmitted to Earth. Fusion reactors that could power entire cities, medical devices that could heal wounds in minutes, communication systems that worked instantly across light years. But the aliens had been careful not to send their most advanced military technology. They were still afraid that humanity might turn these weapons against them once the Vex were defeated. As the fleet prepared to depart, messages of support came from every nation on Earth. For the first time in human history, the entire species was united behind a single cause. They were going to save alien civilizations that feared them, fight monsters that consumed worlds, and prove that sometimes the most dangerous predators could also be the greatest protectors. The jump drives charged. The fleet formed up in perfect formation. Admiral Chang gave the order, and 200 human ships disappeared into hyperspace, carrying Deathworlders across the stars to a war unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Behind them, Earth waited and hoped that when the humans returned, they would still be recognizably human. Ahead of them, 17 civilizations watched their sensors and wondered if their desperate gamble would save them or doom them all. 3 months after leaving Earth, the human fleet dropped out of hyperspace near Kepler Station. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of HMS Defiant, staring at the massive alien structure floating in the void ahead of them. The station was beautiful in a way that no human building had ever been. It curved and flowed like a living organism, covered in soft blue lights that pulsed in gentle rhythms. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Sarah Kim, the communications officer. "It's like a work of art." Admiral Lisa Chang's voice came over the fleet communication system. All ships maintain defensive formation but keep weapons powered down. Remember, these beings asked for our help. Let's not give them more reasons to fear us. Commander Alex Bennett led the first diplomatic shuttle toward the alien station. He had been chosen for this historic moment because of his calm personality and skill with languages. As they approached the docking bay, Bennett could see alien figures moving behind transparent walls. They looked nothing like humans. The docking process was smooth and quiet. When the shuttle doors opened, Bennett stepped into an atmosphere that smelled like flowers and rain. The gravity was lighter than Earth normal, making each step feel like a small bounce. The first alien to greet them was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and 4 arms. Its face was gentle, with large eyes that held no aggression at all. When it spoke, a small device on its chest translated the words into English. "Welcome, humans of Earth. I am Council Speaker Zane of the Zephyrian people. We are grateful you have come, though we admit we are also frightened." Bennett extended his hand in the traditional human greeting, but Zane stepped backward quickly. The translator device buzzed with rapid alien speech before producing English words. "Forgive me. Your species shows dominance and aggression through physical contact. We do not wish to trigger your hunting responses." Bennett slowly lowered his hand, realizing that even a simple handshake was seen as a threat by these peaceful beings. "Speaker Zane, we come in peace. We want to help your people." Zane's large eyes blinked slowly. "Yes, this is what puzzles us most about your species. You are killers, but you kill to protect others. This concept is difficult for us to understand." The tour of Kepler Station revealed just how different human and alien cultures really were. The station had no military sections, no weapons storage, no tactical planning rooms. Instead, it was filled with art galleries, meditation gardens, and scientific laboratories focused on healing and creation rather than destruction. Dr. Elena Rodriguez joined Bennett for meetings with the alien scientists. She was amazed to learn that most of the 17 species had never experienced predators on their homeworlds. The Zephyrians evolved on a planet with abundant plant life and no carnivorous animals. The crystalline Nexeri developed in underground caves where resources were plentiful and competition was unknown. "Your world shaped you to be survivors," explained Dr. Vex, a Nexeri scientist whose body looked like living crystal. "Our worlds shaped us to be creators and thinkers. We have never needed to fight for anything." "But how did you develop space travel without competition driving innovation?" Dr. Rodriguez asked. "Curiosity," Dr. Vex replied. "We explore because we want to learn and share knowledge. Your species explores to find new resources and territory to claim." Lieutenant Colonel Maya Singh arrived on the station with a team of human military advisors. Her job was to coordinate defense plans with the alien tactical officers. The first joint military meeting was a disaster. Singh spread out holographic battle plans showing standard human military doctrine. "The key to defeating the Vex is aggressive action. We hit them hard, fast, and from multiple angles. We accept casualties to achieve victory." The alien military leaders stared at the battle plans in horror. Commander Thale of the Aquarian Defense Force spoke first. "These tactics would result in the death of many beings on both sides. This is unacceptable." "With respect, Commander," Singh replied, "war always results in death. The goal is to minimize our losses while maximizing the enemy's." Another alien officer, General Mora of the Terrestrial Alliance, made a sound that the translator couldn't convert to English. When she spoke, her words came out shaky. "You speak of acceptable death, of sacrifice for victory. These concepts are alien to us." Singh realized she was dealing with beings who had never truly fought for anything. Their military was designed for evacuation and defense, not attack. When she demonstrated a basic flanking maneuver using holographic ships, 3 alien observers had to leave the room for medical attention. "They're having panic attacks," Dr. Rodriguez explained to Singh later. The idea of deliberately putting beings in danger to achieve a goal is so foreign to them that it literally makes them sick. Meanwhile, Captain Morrison was meeting with alien fleet commanders to assess their military capabilities. The alien ships were marvels of defensive technology. They had energy shields that could stop almost any attack, medical bays that could heal almost any wound, and life support systems that could sustain crews for years. But their weapons were weak and their tactics were simple. When threatened, alien fleets formed protective circles and tried to outlast attackers. They had no concept of pursuit, no understanding of offensive maneuvers, no experience with the psychological aspects of warfare. Commander Alex Bennett had been monitoring Vex communications during the battle. The enemy signals were unlike anything they had encountered before. Not radio waves or laser transmissions, but something that seemed to travel through dimensions that human science didn't understand. "They're not just sharing information," Bennett reported. "They're sharing experience. Every Vex that survived the battle now knows exactly what it feels like to fight humans. They're not going to be surprised again." Dr. Rodriguez made another important discovery while studying captured Vex biomatter from the destroyed ships. The hive mind's biggest weakness was also its greatest strength. The Vex couldn't understand individual decision-making because they had never experienced it. "Look at these neural pathways," she showed the research team. "The Vex process information through consensus. Every decision goes through the entire hive mind before action is taken. But human brains make dozens of micro-decisions every second without conscious thought. That's why our chaos tactics worked," Lieutenant Colonel Maya Singh observed. "They couldn't predict what we would do because we don't always know what we're going to do." But the victory came with a price that extended beyond casualties. Several alien species on the Council were reconsidering their alliance with humanity. The level of violence they had witnessed was beyond anything in their experience. Speaker Zane met with Bennett in private after the battle. "Commander, your species frightens us more now than when you first arrived. We asked for help, but we did not expect such brutality." "With respect, Speaker," Bennett replied, "brutality is what the Vex understand. Your peaceful methods weren't working. Sometimes the only way to stop a monster is to become something the monster fears." The conversation was interrupted by urgent alerts from the sensor stations. Long-range scanners had detected 3 more Vex fleets approaching different systems, each larger than the force they had just defeated. Admiral Chang called an emergency meeting with all human and alien commanders. The first battle had taught them valuable lessons, but it had also shown the true scope of what they were facing. "The Vex are adapting faster than we anticipated," Chang announced. "They're not going to make the same mistakes twice. If we're going to win this war, we need to stay ahead of their learning curve." Captain Morrison looked at the tactical displays showing Vex fleet movements. "They're forcing us to fight on multiple fronts. Classic strategy: divide your enemy's forces and defeat them one by one." The meeting ended with a sobering realization. The first battle had been a victory, but it was just the beginning of a war that would test not only human military capabilities, but the very foundation of the alliance between Deathworlders and the peaceful species they had come to protect. 6 months into the war, Colonel Rand Parker stood in the tactical planning room aboard Kepler Station, surrounded by holographic displays showing battles across 17 different star systems. The war had spread faster than anyone expected, with Vex fleets striking at multiple worlds simultaneously while human forces tried to keep up. Parker had become the unofficial coordinator between human military doctrine and alien technology. His job was to figure out how to combine the best of both approaches without losing what made each side effective. It was like trying to teach wolves to work with sheep while keeping both groups alive. "The Zephyrians have excellent shield harmonics," Parker explained to Captain Jake Morrison during their daily strategy meeting. "If we can sync our attack patterns with their defensive rotations, we can create moving barriers that let our ships get closer to Vex formations." Morrison studied the tactical displays. "And their jump drives are more accurate than ours. We could use their navigation systems to position our ships for surprise attacks." But cooperation wasn't easy. The alien crews still panicked when human ships performed aggressive maneuvers nearby. Human soldiers got frustrated with alien equipment that prioritized crew safety over mission effectiveness. Every joint operation required careful planning to prevent the two groups from working against each other. Dr. Elena Rodriguez had made progress with her research into Vex psychology, working alongside alien scientists who brought perspectives that humans would never have considered. Her latest discovery was both promising and terrifying. The Vex hive mind is learning to predict human behavior, she explained to Admiral Lisa Chung during a secure communication. They've been studying our tactics from the first battle, running simulations, adapting their responses. But there's something they can't simulate. What's that? Chung asked. General Cross watched the alien fleet crumble and made a decision that would shock the galaxy. All human ships, break formation, begin wolf pack assault pattern, target the Vex command clusters. The human fleet scattered like a pack of hunting animals. Captain Stone took her destroyer in a high-speed dive toward the Vex formation, her weapons blazing. The Vex ships tried to respond, but they were confused by human tactics that made no sense to their hive mind. Wolverine to all human ships, Stone called over the radio. These things fight like they're dancing. They expect us to follow patterns. Let's show them what chaos looks like. The battle became a nightmare for the Vex. Human ships attacked from impossible angles, used ramming maneuvers that should have been suicide, and fought with a ferocity that the hive mind couldn't process. When Murphy's boarding party crashed through the hull of a Vex destroyer, the aliens watching the battle fell silent. The boarding action was broadcast back to Kepler Station, where alien observers watched in horror as humans fought hand-to-hand combat against Vex warriors inside the enemy ship. Sergeant Murphy led his team through corridors filled with organic growths and pulsing walls that seemed alive. "Stay together," Murphy shouted to his soldiers. "These things share information instantly. If one sees you, they all know where you are." The Vex warriors were tall, insect-like creatures with multiple arms and razor-sharp claws. They moved with perfect coordination, but they had never faced an enemy that fought with human unpredictability. Murphy's team used explosive charges, improvised weapons, and what the surgeon called controlled madness to clear each section of the ship. "Contact front," yelled Corporal Amy Davis as a group of Vex warriors rounded a corner. The humans opened fire, but when their ammunition ran low, they switched to hand-to-hand combat without hesitation. The aliens watching the battlefield couldn't believe what they were seeing. Humans fighting Vex warriors with knives, fists, and makeshift clubs. More shocking still, the humans were winning. Captain Stone's destroyer had taken massive damage during the boarding operation, but she refused to retreat. Her ship's hull was breached in 12 places, her weapon systems were failing, and half her crew was injured. By alien standards, the Wolverine should have withdrawn hours ago. "Captain, we should fall back and regroup," suggested her first officer, Lieutenant Commander Ryan Parker. "Negative," Stone replied, blood running from a cut on her forehead. "We hurt them here. We hurt them everywhere. This is how humans fight." The Wolverine continued attacking until its main engine finally exploded. Even then, Stone used the ship's remaining power to ram a Vex cruiser, both vessels disappearing in a brilliant flash of light. The battle lasted 18 hours. When it ended, the human fleet had lost 37 ships and 8,000 crew members. The Vex had lost over 300 vessels and retreated from the system entirely. For the alien observers, the casualty numbers were incomprehensible. 20% losses in what humans considered a victory. By alien standards, any battle with more than 5% casualties was a disaster requiring immediate withdrawal. Dr. Elena Rodriguez studied the battle recordings with Dr. Vex and other alien scientists. They were trying to understand how humans could function so effectively while taking damage that would cripple any other species. "Your Captain Stone's ship was destroyed, but she continued fighting," Dr. Vex observed. Our protocols require retreat when hull integrity drops below 30%. Her ship was at 8%. Humans don't retreat because it's logical, Rodriguez explained. We retreat when we decide the mission is more important than individual survival. Stone decided that ramming that Vex cruiser would save more lives in the long run. The recording showed human crew members fighting while injured, making tactical decisions under extreme stress, and maintaining unit cohesion, even when their ships were falling apart around them. It was behavior that alien psychology couldn't explain. General Cross was analyzing the battle data when he made a disturbing discovery. The Vex were learning from the encounter. Their retreat wasn't random. They were studying human tactics and adapting their strategies accordingly. They're processing everything that happened, Cross explained to Admiral Chung. Every move we made, every tactic we used. The hive mind is probably running thousands of simulations right now, figuring out how to counter human unpredictability. Captain Morrison was the first to volunteer. If there's a chance this could work, I'll take that risk. My crew will too. Admiral Chang studied the tactical situation across all theaters of war. Human forces were winning individual battles, but losing the larger conflict. The Vex could replace their losses faster than the Alliance could inflict them, and every victory taught the enemy more about human methods. We need to end this war quickly, Chang realized. The longer it goes on, the more the Vex learn about us. Eventually, they'll be able to predict everything we do. The plan that emerged from the desperate strategy sessions was ambitious and terrifying. Instead of fighting defensive battles across multiple systems, humanity would concentrate its entire fleet for a single massive assault on the Vex home system. It's all or nothing, General Cross explained to the combined human and alien command staff. We hit their central processing networks with everything we have. If we can disrupt the hive mind at its source, all Vex forces across the galaxy will be affected. Colonel Parker had spent weeks developing the attack plan, combining human aggression with alien technology in ways that neither side had considered before. Alien shield generators would protect human assault ships during their approach. Human fighters would provide close support for alien support vessels. Most critically, volunteers using the Neural Disruption Protocol would interface directly with the Vex central network. But the plan required sacrifices that made even the human commanders uncomfortable. Casualty projections showed that 60% of the assault fleet might be lost in the attack. For the alien council members, these numbers were incomprehensible. You're asking us to approve a plan that will kill millions of beings, Speaker Zane said during the final planning session. We're asking you to approve a plan that might save billions, Admiral Chime replied. If we don't take this risk, the Vex will eventually consume every world in the galaxy, including Earth. The vote was close, but the Alliance approved the final assault. As human and alien fleets began gathering for the largest space battle in galactic history, everyone involved understood that the outcome would determine not just the fate of 17 civilizations, but the future of intelligent life itself. The Deathworlders were about to make their final gamble, and the galaxy would discover whether predators from a harsh world could truly become its saviors. The final battle began at dawn in the Vex home system, around a dying red giant star that cast everything in shades of blood and shadow. General Nathan Cross commanded the largest space fleet in galactic history from his flagship, watching as human and alien ships moved into position for the assault that would decide the fate of 17 civilizations. The Vex central system was a nightmare of organic technology and twisted metal. 17 planets had been consumed and rebuilt into massive hive processing centers, their surfaces covered with pulsing growths that looked like infected wounds against the stars. At the center of it all was the primary hive complex, a structure the size of a moon that served as the brain of the entire Vex collective. All fleets report ready, came the voice of Admiral Lisa Chung over the communication system. Remember, this is not just about winning battles. We're here to free every mind the Vex have consumed. Captain Jake Morrison commanded the Neural Interface Squadron, 12 specially modified ships equipped with the experimental disruption technology. His volunteer crew knew they were flying into almost certain death, but they also knew they were humanity's best hope for ending the war. The battle opened with the largest coordinated assault in galactic history. Human destroyers and cruisers led the charge, their weapons blazing as they carved through the outer Vex defenses. Behind them came alien support vessels, their advanced shields protecting the entire fleet from the massive energy weapons that emerged from the Hive planets. Captain Lisa Stone commanded the heavy battleship HMS Vengeance in the second wave of the attack. Her crew had fought in every major battle of the war, and they moved with the smooth coordination of veterans who had learned to trust each other completely. "Vex interceptors incoming," reported Lieutenant Danny Murphy from his position at the weapons console. "They're using new formations, trying to separate our ships from alien support. Individual human decision-making under extreme stress. The hive mind makes decisions through consensus, processing all available information before acting. But humans make snap judgments based on instinct, emotion, and experience that can't be calculated." Rodriguez had been working with Dr. Vex and the other alien researchers to develop what they called the Neural Disruption Protocol. The theory was that human brain patterns, evolved through millions of years of survival pressure, contained cognitive structures that could interfere with Vex neural networks. "It's like introducing static into their communications," Dr. Vex explained during one of their research sessions. "Your thought patterns are so chaotic compared to ours that they might be able to disrupt the Vexed hive consciousness." But the protocol came with risks that made even the human command staff uncomfortable. A human pilot would need to interface directly with captured Vex technology, using their own neural patterns as a weapon against the hive mind. The process could cause permanent brain damage or death. Meanwhile, Major Kate Sullivan had been leading intelligence operations against Vex forces, trying to understand their long-term strategy. Her findings were disturbing. The Vex weren't just consuming random civilizations. They were specifically targeting worlds with dangerous characteristics. "They're looking for Deathworld traits," Sullivan reported to General Nathan Cross. "The Vex have been studying species from harsh environments, trying to absorb the survival abilities that make them dangerous. They see humanity as the ultimate prize." The intelligence revealed that the Vex had been planning to invade Earth for decades, but the appearance of human fleets in their territory had forced them to accelerate their timeline. They were now fighting a war on multiple fronts while trying to locate and destroy humanity's homeworld. The moral crisis came to a head during a joint council meeting where alien representatives questioned whether the alliance with humanity was worth the cost. Several species had already withdrawn their fleets after witnessing human combat methods that violated every principle of their peaceful cultures. "Your warriors fight like demons," accused Counselor Yara of the Peaceful Union. "They show no mercy, no restraint. How are they different from the Vex?" Commander Alex Bennett responded carefully. "The difference is choice. Humans can be peaceful when peace is possible. The Vex can only consume and destroy. We fight because you asked us to, and we can stop fighting when the threat is ended." But some council members weren't convinced. Speaker Zane expressed the concerns of many alien species when he said, "We fear that saving us from the Vex might only replace one threat with another. What happens when humans no longer need our alliance?" The debate was interrupted by urgent reports from the outer systems. Vex fleets had begun a coordinated assault on 3 major alien worlds simultaneously, using tactics that showed they had learned from previous battles with human forces. Captain Lisa Stone, who had survived the destruction of her previous ship, now commanded the heavy cruiser HMS Retribution. She was leading a desperate defense of the Aquarian homeworld when the Vex revealed their new strategy. "They're using our own tactics against us," Stone reported as enemy ships surrounded her formation. "Fast attacks, unpredictable movements, coordinated strikes. The hive mind has learned to think like predators." The battle for Aquaria lasted 3 days. Human and alien ships fought side by side against Vex forces that had adapted specifically to counter human unpredictability. The enemy no longer fell for chaos tactics or surprise attacks. Instead, they used overwhelming numbers and perfect coordination to crush any resistance. When the defense finally collapsed, over 2 billion Aquarians were consumed by the Vex hive mind. The survivors fled to refugee ships, carrying with them the knowledge that even human military genius might not be enough to win the war. Dr. Rodriguez watched the battle reports with growing desperation. The neural disruption protocol was still experimental, but it might be their only chance to stop the Vex before they adapted completely to human warfare. "We need volunteers for the neural interface trials," she announced to the human command staff. "The risks are extreme, but if we can't disrupt their hive mind, we're going to lose this war." The war ended not with the destruction of the Vex, but with their liberation. The species that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries was revealed to be the victim of their own collective consciousness, unable to choose anything other than consumption and expansion. Some Vex chose to remain individuals, working with the Galactic Alliance to rebuild the worlds they had destroyed. Others chose to form smaller, voluntary collective groups that retained some hive mind benefits while preserving individual choice. A few chose to isolate themselves completely, trying to understand what it meant to be alone in their own minds for the first time in their species' history. Admiral Chang presided over the formation of the Galactic Defense Alliance, a new organization that included not just the original 17 peaceful species, but also human colonies, reformed Vex groups, and the restored civilizations that had been thought lost forever. But the relationship between humans and the other galactic species remained complex. The war had proven that sometimes peace required the willingness to fight for it, but it had also shown how dangerous humans could become when unleashed. "We're not conquerors," Admiral Chang explained during the treaty negotiations. "We're guardians. We fight when fighting is necessary, but we stop fighting when the threat is ended." Dr. Rodriguez established the Terran protection protocols, ensuring that human military power would only be used defensively. Human colonies would be spread throughout the galaxy, not as occupying forces, but as rapid response teams ready to defend against future threats. The final scene of the war took place on a restored world where Vex and human children played together while their parents worked to rebuild what had been destroyed. Former hive mind drones learned what it meant to have names, to make choices, to disagree with each other without losing their connection to their community. Captain Morrison, who had survived the neural interface procedure but suffered permanent changes to his brain, watched the children play and understood something profound about what they had accomplished. The most dangerous predators in the galaxy have become its most devoted protectors, not by conquering other species, but by teaching them that sometimes the only way to preserve peace was to be willing to fight for it. The Deathworlders had crossed the stars, not to claim territory or resources, but to ensure that every species in the galaxy had the right to choose their own destiny. It was perhaps the most human thing they could have done. "Your ships are designed to protect," Morrison observed. "Ours are designed to hunt." Admiral Chang arrived with the main human fleet 2 days later. The alien response to seeing 200 human warships was immediate panic. Emergency sessions were called. Some alien counselors began questioning whether inviting humanity had been a mistake. Dr. Rodriguez found herself in the middle of a diplomatic crisis when several alien species threatened to withdraw from the alliance. She met with Speaker Zane and other council members in an emergency session. "Your Admiral Chang's ships are too aggressive," Speaker Zane explained. "They move like predators stalking prey. Our sensor operators cannot function properly because your formations trigger their flight responses." "But you asked us to come," Dr. Rodriguez said. "You knew what we were when you sent that message to Earth." "We knew you were dangerous," replied Counselor Yara of the Peaceful Union. "We did not understand how dangerous. Your mere presence here has caused more stress among our populations than the Vex threat did." The breakthrough came when long-range sensors detected the approaching Vex armada. The enemy fleet was massive, 3 times larger than any force the Galactic Preservation Council had ever faced. Suddenly, the alien fear of humans was overwhelmed by their terror of the Vex. Dr. Rodriguez was studying captured Vex biosamples when she made a crucial discovery. The Vex hive mind was incredibly efficient at processing information from peaceful species, but there were gaps in their understanding. They had never encountered a species like humanity. "Look at these neural pathway maps," she showed Dr. Vex. "The Vex can predict and counter the thought processes of every species they've absorbed. But human neural patterns are chaotic, unpredictable. We evolved to be paranoid, suspicious, and capable of rapid adaptation under stress." "You believe this gives you an advantage?" Dr. Vex asked. "I believe it's the only advantage we're going to get," Rodriguez replied. Commander Bennett was in the station's command center when the first Vex scouts appeared at the edge of the system. The alien response was immediate and predictable. They began evacuation procedures and called for their fleets to form defensive positions. Admiral Chang's response was different. She ordered her ships to move toward the enemy scouts in an aggressive formation that made the alien observers gasp in fear. "All human vessels, this is Admiral Chang. The Vex want to see how we fight. Let's show them what happens when Deathworlders cross the stars. Begin hunt pattern Alpha." The human ships spread out like a pack of wolves, moving with coordination that was both beautiful and terrifying. As they closed in on the Vex scouts, every alien on Kepler station watched their sensors in fascination and horror. For the first time in galactic history, predators from a death world were going to war in space. The question was not whether humans could fight the Vex, but whether the galaxy could survive what humanity might become in the process. The first battle happened in the Rigel system, where 3 Vex assault fleets met the combined human and alien forces. General Nathan Cross commanded from his flagship, watching the enemy ships approach in perfect formation. The Vex moved like a single organism, thousands of vessels flowing together in patterns that hurt to look at. Alien fleet commanders maintained defensive positions as planned. Cross ordered over the communication system. "Human ships begin hunting formation beta." Captain Lisa Stone commanded the destroyer HMS Wolverine on the outer edge of the human formation. Her crew was tense but ready. They had trained for this moment, but no one knew what fighting a hive mind species would really be like. The alien ships formed their traditional protective circle, energy shields overlapping to create a nearly impenetrable barrier. It was a formation that had worked against pirates and raiders for centuries. Against the Vex, it was completely useless. The Vex fleet hit the alien formation like a tidal wave. Their ships were ugly, functional things covered in spines and organic-looking growths. They moved with perfect coordination, thousands of vessels acting as one mind. The alien shields held for exactly 43 seconds before the focused Vex assault broke through. "Alien ships are taking heavy damage," reported Lieutenant Danny Murphy from his position at the tactical station. "Their defensive formation is collapsing." Stone watched the enemy movements on her tactical display. The Vex had learned much from their previous encounters with human forces. They no longer fell for chaos tactics or unpredictable maneuvers. Instead, they fought with cold efficiency, using their numerical advantage and perfect coordination to counter every human strategy. But humans had learned too. Colonel Ryan Parker's integrated battle plans allowed human aggression and alien technology to work together in ways that neither side could achieve alone. Alien shield generators created protective corridors that let human fighters penetrate deep into Vex formations. Human tactical flexibility allowed alien support ships to position themselves for maximum effectiveness. The breakthrough came when Morrison's Neural Interface Squadron reached the primary hive complex. The massive structure was defended by thousands of Vex ships, but the combined fleet had cleared a path through the enemy formations at terrible cost. "Neural Squadron Leader to all ships," Morrison broadcast. "Beginning interface protocol. If this works, every Vex unit in the galaxy should be affected. If it doesn't work, it's been an honor serving with you." Morrison's ship, HMS Defiant, was the first to make contact with the hive complex. The neural interface technology, developed by Dr. Elena Rodriguez and her alien colleagues, required a human pilot to link their consciousness directly with Vex technology. The moment Morrison activated the interface, He felt his mind invaded by the collective consciousness of billions of Vex entities. The hive mind was vast, cold, and utterly alien. Every thought was shared. Every decision was consensus. Every individual was part of a single overwhelming whole. But Morrison's human brain, shaped by millions of years of individual survival, began introducing chaos into the perfect order of the hive. His memories of Earth, of family, of choosing to fight for strangers on distant worlds, were concepts the Vex consciousness couldn't process. "It's working," Morrison gasped over the communication system. "I can feel the hive mind trying to understand individual choice. It's like introducing a virus into their system." Lieutenant Commander Amy Davis and Major Carlos Rivera followed Morrison's lead, their own ships interfacing with secondary hive nodes. Each human consciousness that entered the Vex network brought more chaos, more unpredictability, more individual thought patterns that the collective mind couldn't absorb. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Across the battle space, Vex ships began moving erratically. Some stopped responding to commands entirely. Others broke formation and began attacking their own forces. The perfect coordination that had made the hive mind so dangerous was falling apart. But the most shocking development came when individual Vex warriors began breaking free from the collective consciousness. Commander Alex Bennett, monitoring communication channels, detected something impossible. Individual Vex trying to communicate with the Allied fleet. This is incredible," Bennett reported to Admiral Chang. "Some of the Vex are developing individual consciousness. They're trying to surrender." Dr. Rodriguez, monitoring the neural disruption from the command ship, realized what was happening. The human thought patterns aren't just disrupting the hive mind. They're teaching it how to be individuals. We're literally freeing the Vex from their own collective consciousness. The battle raged for 18 hours, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. With their hive mind fragmenting, the Vex forces lost all coordination. Ships collided with each other, weapons fired at random targets, and entire fleets simply stopped fighting altogether. More importantly, the disruption of the central hive network began releasing the absorbed consciousness of the 12 civilizations the Vex had consumed. Beings who had been considered extinct for centuries began emerging from the organic processing centers, their minds restored after years of being trapped in the collective. Captain Stone led the rescue operations on the former hive worlds. What her teams found was beyond anything they had imagined. Millions of beings from dozens of species, their individual personalities intact, but bearing the memories of what it felt like to be part of the Vex collective. "They remember everything," Stone reported. "Every battle, every world consumed, every mind absorbed. But now, they remember it as individuals instead of as part of the hive."